wants us to know that most people have no idea what a surveyor does. And why should they? After all, that's why they hire them. Yet, it seems like a large number of people left to their own devices will avoid having one done on probably the largest purchase of their life. Your home. In the next 5 to 7 minutes, our house surveyor will attempt to shed some light on the mysterious subject of surveying.
Yeah.
Please welcome Jim Langford.
I like these. I'm going to try to work those in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, like Michelle had said, let's start off right away with those. Most of us either own or will own a house. Unfortunately, a lot of people, if they're left to their own devices, will try to save money. They'll get a home inspection, they'll get a termite inspection. It comes to a survey, they might say, that's a little too much, I don't think I'm going to get a survey. Most cases, if you're getting a loan, the bank's going to require you to get a survey, which really is in your best interest. There's a lot of things that I've seen that people, you would never expect, looking at a property. There should be no problems here. Wrong. There's been, thank you. There's been fences over the line, there's been buildings over the line, there's been no access to a property, things like that. Some things that I want to try to just briefly educate you on some things about how a surveyor's job is done, because people have come up to me and they said, where do you start? How do you know where you start from or get corners set? If you want to start in Florida, the initial point from the surveys that started was in Tallahassee. There's a monument there, and there's a fence around it and all. We don't start there. It'd be too expensive for you. So there's the original 13 colonies was done first, of course, and they have a different method of doing surveys than the rest of the country does. So when you have a survey done up in the original 13, they go back, what would be in an abstract, and they say you start here at the pile of stones, and you go to the center of the stream, and this and that. And it's a history of the property. The rest of the country is on what they call a rectangular system, which is set up on a square mile of land. And back in the days, the surveyors got to cavort in the 1800s by surveying these square miles of land and fighting the Indians and animals and snakes and everything. And that's roughly what a section of land would get broken down as. And you can see, if you remember some of your high school geometry, I would suppose, is northeast, southeast, is break down into quadrants. And this section of land is broken down from that. Then after that was done, there's another subdivision that makes it easier for us to do, and that's like a subdivision plat that breaks out individual lots for sale. Okay? So when you work off of something like that, it's a lot easier to do a survey than it is on something that was not platted that's still based on this. The surveys that are based on this is where you have more of your problems. Although I've still seen problems in subdivisions where there are irregular lots, people build fences, they even get permits to build fences, and the fences are wrong. 20 feet off. People's got a whole, like you have a wedge-shaped lot, you know, that goes up to a point in the back. They go from here to here, forget about the point in the middle, stuff like that. So people can lose a substantial amount of property because of things like that. This here is a sample of a survey, just a lot survey. there's a lot of different things. I mean, this one shows that this guy's got there's an easement that goes around the lot. He's got his pool deck partially in the easement. Usually, the title company, you can't really see it too well, but it's over on this side here. But the title company will say, okay, you have some things in the easement, we're gonna make those as exclusions to the title policy, make you aware of. You wanna sign off on it here, or you don't wanna buy the property, or you wanna have it removed, one or the other. So, that's pretty common. And why do you need a survey? Most cases, you're going to need it when you buy a property. You can need a survey when you're going to be building something like a pool or a fence, or you need a permit for something. And that's a lot of times when people call. How long is a survey good for? Depends on what you're doing. Sometimes, if you're going to refinance a house, they'll accept a survey that's 10 years old. They might even accept the homeowner signing an affidavit, who is now acting as a surveyor, which I don't agree with, but saying that there's been no improvements on your property. That's all good and well. What if your neighbor has made some improvements and he's over your property? So that's happened. There's actually been cases where people have lived in a house for years. And when I first came up here 20 years ago or so, it happened in DeBary. And I've heard it in Miami and other places. Subdivisions where they have a string of lots. They come out, somebody gets a house built. The house next to it's vacant. 10, 20, 30 years later, somebody comes to build the house on the lot next door. Come to find out that the house that they thought was on that lot is on the other lot, and now the guy that's buying that lot says, oh, well, thanks for the house, can I have the keys, please?
Oh.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's happened. So it can be quite a expensive proposition. I just talked to a gentleman yesterday that bought a piece of the land that didn't have legal access. The attorney told him it was going to take him $15,000 to $20,000 to clarify the problem. If he got a survey before he bought it, he could have avoided that and probably not bought it or caused the seller to take care of that. So, see, I'm running short on time. I'm going to have to wrap it up. I hope I've been able to educate you somewhat on why to get a survey and avoid some of the problems that people that want to save a couple $100 sometimes, and it ends up costing them thousands, will do, and that's fact.